Kansas City Chiefs are about to take on the Baltimore Ravens in the opening salvo of the NFL season, and we've got to talk about it. We are here with a preview and a prediction for the game itself. Now, I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently than I did last year, so maybe this will work, and if it doesn't, I hope you will tell me. The big idea in this game is this. There is an entire offseason separating the last matchup. This is massive. This is a massive game for both of these teams. That makes things extra unpredictable. There are new players. There are lost players. All of these things make this game even less predictable. I could give you numbers all the live long day, but none of it will matter. This game is going to be live wire. This game is going to be unpredictable. It is going to have a playoff atmosphere. That's exactly why this game was picked to open up the 2024 NFL season. And it makes things difficult to predict. It makes things difficult to project. We have no game film of either of these teams, nothing meaningful. Think about the Chiefs preseason. What did you really see from Patrick Mahomes through 3 games? Nothing. Nothing at all. So, and I think based on what we saw in the preseason, you understand that we have no idea what this Chiefs offense is going to look like. None at all. We have no idea what the Chiefs defense will look like without L'Jarius Sneed, let alone Willie Gay. There's so many things that are different, and that's just for the Chiefs. The Ravens have lost 2 or 3 offensive linemen. They've lost parts from all over their team. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting very quick, in my opinion. The one thing that I wonder about is whether or not the new kickoff rules will actually be a big deal in this game. So, yeah, I kind of, as much as it is exciting to have kickoffs be a factor again, I kind of hope not, right? We had gotten so used to football being dictated by the stars of the game that we forgot the 53rd man on the roster, the 4th running back on any given team, might just be the hero that week and take 197 yards. There is a subplot, however, to this game as well. Lamar Jackson is mentioned in league with Patrick Mahomes time and time again. And his trophy shelf would suggest that is a truism. Lamar Jackson has 2 MVP awards, 2 first-team All-Pros, 3 Pro Bowls, even a Heisman Trophy, but no Lombardis. Not even any Lamar Hunts. They also mention Lamar as one of the young and upcoming quarterbacks, but Lamar is 27, the same age as Joe Burrow, a year younger than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, 5 years older than CJ Stroud, 5 years older than Caleb Williams. Those are the young guns. Those are the young quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is considerably older than Jackson, right? We all know that. And though he did, Aaron Rodgers, enter the league at 22, he notoriously sat behind an aged and reluctant Brett Favre. He was a late start in his NFL career. His legacy was undoubtedly affected. It undoubtedly suffered because of sitting behind Brett Favre. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers had been able to start his second year in the league, how much better his stats would be, how much more likely it is that he would have had more playoff wins, maybe even another Super Bowl crammed in there. Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl to his credit. He won it at his age 27 season. Lamar Jackson is in that season. Aaron Rodgers is 1 step above the Dan Marino rung when it comes to GOATs. Aaron Rodgers has a Lombardi. Dan Marino has none. Dan Marino, the argument for him when he retired for being one of the greatest of all time was very short because of that. Very short because of that. Aaron Rodgers finds himself in the unfortunate situation of being sandwiched between the careers of Tom Brady and the career of Patrick Mahomes. This is unfortunate for him. Is Lamar Jackson the next Aaron Rodgers, sandwiched sadly between Patrick Mahomes and, say, CJ Stroud? Maybe Lamar does not think about this. Or maybe he's human and he has ears. There are some intriguing matchups going on in this game as well. And I want to start here. I want to start with Chris Jones versus Lamar Jackson. You could say Chris Jones versus any number of those offensive linemen, but this isn't about the linemen standing between these two. Jackson will have to evade Chris Jones personally. How effective he is at evading Chris Jones could go a long way in deciding this game. If Chris Jones comes out of this game with 3 sacks, it's going to mean very, very bad things for the Baltimore Ravens. Possibly, probably, in my opinion, even worse things than it would normally mean for Chris Jones to have had 3 sacks. Part of that is because I think Spagnuolo is going to be bringing pressure from everywhere. So if Chris Jones has 3, how many did the Chiefs total have? But number 2 is this. Man, Lamar Jackson must really want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, no matter what he says to the press, no matter how much he claims that this is not a special revenge game for him, no matter how much he says that. The Chiefs have the Ravens' number lately. The Chiefs have only lost once to Lamar Jackson. Chris Jones, it's easy from our end of things to think of this game as Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. And almost undoubtedly, both Mahomes and Jackson will be thinking about this game in some type of that framing. But once they're on the field, Lamar Jackson knows he has to look out for Chris Jones. Lamar Jackson will know exactly where Chris Jones is at all times. You know, one of the funny things about Chris Jones is you forget just how big he is until he has his arms draped around a quarterback. And he is stunningly large compared to a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. That's interesting from my point of view. It must be absolutely terrifying from Lamar Jackson's point of view. The next interesting tidbit here, matchup here, Nick Bolton and Derrick Henry. The Baltimore Ravens somehow found a way to sign the only Baltimore Raven ever who has never before been a Baltimore Raven, Derrick Henry. Hit Stick Nick has something for him. Hit Stick Nick has a long history with Derrick Henry going all the way back to his rookie season, and it has oftentimes come out in the favor of Nick Bolton. I don't know why Nick Bolton has sometimes proven effective against Derrick Henry. It doesn't seem to be a matchup that makes much sense in Nick's corner, but Nick is the ultimate scrapper. That's how he's gotten this far in his NFL career. And if he is healthy, which we don't know if he is healthy, this will be a fun one to watch all day long. Now, staying in that linebacker core, Drew Tranquill and Mark Andrews. The Chiefs coverage linebacker will have his work cut out for him, though Andrews caught only 2 passes for 15 yards in the AFC Championship game. There is no doubt in my mind the Ravens looked at that afterwards and said, oh, okay, well, when we play the Chiefs again, we're going to have to get Mark Andrews the ball. In fact, I think they're going to emphasize their tight ends more than usual in this game. I don't know if it's going to work out for them. I think teams are assuming Leo Chenal will be a liability in coverage, and that might be true. He has slipped in coverage before. Nick Bolton never particularly been that strong in coverage. So I think that many teams are going to try to exploit the linebackers in the passing game. I don't know if it's going to work out when the safeties are on the field. So the next matchup to talk about here, Trent McDuffie and Zay Flowers. If there were a man who nearly ruined the Chiefs' repeat bid last season during that playoff run, it was Zay Flowers. He had 5 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown and a fumble in the AFC Championship game. That was nearly half of Lamar Jackson's passing yards in that game. If Zay Flowers is able to go off again, this is going to be a long day for the Chiefs secondary. It's going to be a long day for the Chiefs defense, and it's going to be a nail-biter towards the end of the night. Leo Chenal and Tyler Lindenbaum? Please? Yes. The center. Oh, come on. Linderbaum is an Iowa Hawkeye and Chenal is a Badger. If ever there were a game to stack Lionheart into the A-gap, it's this one, right? Give Chris Jones a little bit of leeway by putting Leo Chenal in the A-gap and just telling them, hey, it's dealer's choice. Leo Chenal is going to get after the quarterback if he's given the opportunity. Leo Chenal is deceptively fast. He's not the fastest guy on the field, but he's deceptively fast for a guy that's 250 pounds. I think this may be the game that we finally start to see Leo Chenal thrown around in coverage. See Leo Chenal thrown around in the pass rushing department, and it may be if Leo Chenal finds a way to play to his potential tonight, it could be the beginning of his ascendance in the ranks of NFL linebackers. That is, of course, a big if when you're talking about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews lining up across from a linebacker. But it's possible. I think it's somewhat likely. The next matchup to talk about, Xavier Worthy and Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton, the 6'4", 200-pound Goliath safety for the Baltimore Ravens. Hamilton was selected 14th overall in the draft, and this was considered a massive slide for a player as talented as Hamilton. And that has proven to be correct. Hamilton has been an absolute stud. But do you remember why he slid so far? Not his 38-inch vertical or his 10-foot 11-inch broad jump, not the fact that he has 33-inch arms. What reach for a 6'4" safety to have? Not even the fact that he went to Notre Dame and they don't really know how long it takes to wash that off. No, it was because he ran a 4.59 40-yard dash. Xavier Worthy did not run a 4.59 40-yard dash. So you can bet your bottom dollar that Andy is going to scheme that matchup up for a wheel route. And if they hit it the way they hadn't been able to hit it in the preseason, the way they actually, if we're admitting it, hadn't really been able to hook up in the training camp scenario, if they are able to hit that wheel route against Kyle Hamilton, it might go for 6. Now, the next matchup worth watching, Rashee Rice and Brandon Stephens. Rice is 6'1", 203 pounds. He's a wide receiver that plays bully ball. Stephens is 6'1", 215 pounds, and he plays cornerback. He is a much better pure athlete than is Rashee Rice, and last year in that AFC Championship game, Rashee Rice averaged just 5.75 yards per reception, which was the lowest game average of his entire season. It hasn't been that long since that AFC Championship game. Everything else may have changed, but those two athletes, Rashee Rice and Brandon Stephens, basically the same guys. Will the Kansas City Chiefs use Rashee Rice closer to the way that they did for the most part of the playoffs and Super Bowl, where Rashee Rice was finally starting to branch out in his route running? Or will they keep him at the line of scrimmage? Also, worth noting, if Brandon Stephens is lined up against Xavier Worthy, Brandon Stephens is 6'1", 215, Xavier Worthy 170, maybe? That is a large differential, but Brandon Stephens is still a 4.44 guy. So it could get interesting at the wide receiver and defensive back positions. The next matchup worth talking about, Kingsley Suamataia and Kyle Van Noy. Van Noy had 3 tackles total in the AFC Championship game, but it isn't tackles of which the Chiefs must be wary. Van Noy had the most sacks of his entire career last season, and though the 33-year-old may never be the most impressive player on the field physically, the rookie, Kingsley Suamataia, is going to be exposed to a few veteran moves on Thursday. How does he handle those? Does he have the physical tools necessary to outmatch Van Noy despite Van Noy's craftiness? It is yet to be seen, but that could be a problem for this Chiefs offense. The next one here is Trey Smith and Nnamdi Madubuike. This maybe, admittedly, isn't all that compelling, but Trey Smith is a very violent man, and Madubuike has always kind of reminded me of Keenan Thompson, and for some reason I can't stand Keenan Thompson. Go Trey. Prediction on the game. I think that this comes down to the final seconds of the game. The Kansas City Chiefs will pull this out by the score of 31-28. That is what I have for this preview and prediction video for the Chiefs and the Ravens. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.